All right, let's just jump right in. We're talking about Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power. And really, this book is a masterclass in the dynamics that govern pretty much everything, whether you're in a boardroom, a courtroom, or, just trying to get through your day. And that's really the key, isn't it? Power isn't just for kings and presidents. It's this constant, unseen force, a game that's being played all around us, all the time. And here's the thing, ignoring the game doesn't mean you're not playing. It just means you have no idea what your next move should be. So this brings us to a guy named Nicolas Fouquet. He was King Louis XIV's finance minister. Brilliant, super ambitious, and he was about to make one of the most catastrophic mistakes in the entire history of power. Fouquet's story is just a perfect way to get into this whole unseen game. So what on earth did he do that was so bad? Well, his mistake shows us the incredibly high price you pay for making the wrong move. Okay, so seeing his chance, Fouquet threw the most spectacular party France had ever seen. The goal was simple, right? Show his value, impress the king. But it backfired. Spectacularly. The party was just too good. Instead of being impressed, the young King Louis felt insecure, threatened, and completely outshone. And the very next day, Fouquet was arrested. He spent the rest of his life in prison, all because of a party. And this is a textbook example of the very first law of power. Fouquet's desire to please just went way too far. He showed off his talents so brightly that he inspired fear, not admiration. He broke the #1 rule. He outshone the master. Fouquet's story, it really shows that power isn't just about what you do, it's about how you're perceived. Which brings us to our first big idea here, mastering your public image. Because in the game of power, how you're seen is, well, it's everything. So this brings up a really fascinating question, right? We all think being brilliant is what matters, but does genius alone actually guarantee power? History gives us a pretty clear answer if we look at the rivalry between two absolute titans. What's so amazing here is the contrast. Tesla, he was arguably the greater scientific mind, but Edison was the master showman. He got that attention is a currency. He would stage these dramatic public demonstrations, and he even famously rejected a Nobel Prize just to avoid sharing it with Tesla. Edison controlled the story, and in the game of power, perception totally beat reality. Tesla died broke, Edison became a legend. So let's bring this right back to law #1. Fouquet failed because his brilliance felt like a threat. But now look at Galileo. When he discovered the moons of Jupiter, he didn't just announce it to the world. No, he dedicated the discovery to the super powerful Medici family, whose symbol was Jupiter. He made his success their success. He made the master feel superior. And what did he get in return? A cushy job and all the funding he needed. You see, managing your image, that's kind of like playing defense. But real power, that's about being proactive. And that leads us to our next theme, controlling the strategic game. It's not enough to react to what's happening, you have to make other people react to you. And a huge tactic here is Law 3. Think about it. If people don't know what you're really up to, they can't prepare for it, they can't argue against it, and they definitely can't stop you. Keeping them in the dark gives you the freedom to make your move. Take Otto von Bismarck. He wanted to go to war with Austria, but he knew Prussia wasn't ready yet. So what did he do? He publicly talked about how much he hated war and praised diplomacy. All while his opponents were feeling safe and secure, he was quietly building up his army. Then, when the moment was just right, he struck, and that deception led to the unification of Germany. Misdirection is incredibly powerful, but it's really only half the battle. It buys you time to get ready, but when you finally make your move, that move has to be decisive. A great strategy is totally useless if your energy is spread all over the place. And this brings us to Law 23, concentrate your forces. Just think about John D. Rockefeller. In the chaotic early days of the oil industry, he didn't try to do a little bit of everything. Nope. He focused all his energy, all his money, on one single bottleneck, refining the oil. By concentrating his forces right there, he ended up dominating 90% of the entire market. That is the power of focus. Okay, now we're getting to the real core of it all, psychology. The most powerful people don't just understand strategy, they understand other people, what drives them, what they're afraid of, and what they really, really want. So think about it. When you need a favor from someone, what's the best way to ask? Do you remind them of all the nice things you've done for them? Appeal to their kindness? Well, the laws of power suggest a different path, a much more effective one, even if it feels a little cynical. So here's the fundamental idea. People are motivated by their own self-interest. Appealing to mercy or gratitude, that's weak. It relies on emotions that can change in a second. But appealing to what benefits them, now that is almost impossible to ignore. Christopher Columbus is a perfect case study for this. For years, he was pitching his voyage to all these European rulers, and every single one of them said no. Why? Because his dream of exploration meant absolutely nothing to them. He was basically asking for a handout. But then, when he finally got a meeting with Queen Isabella of Spain, he completely changed his pitch. He stopped talking about adventure and started talking about gold. He stopped talking about discovery and started talking about crushing Spain's rival, Portugal. He framed his entire voyage as an investment that would bring her immense wealth and power. She didn't fund his dream, she funded her own ambition. He appealed to her self-interest, and it literally changed the course of history. So, after all these examples, we kind of have to ask ourselves, are these laws just a cynical guide to manipulation, or are they a pragmatic set of tools for navigating the world as it actually is? I mean, is it a dark way to see the world to suggest that people are mostly just motivated by self-interest and a desire for control? Or is this just reality? Is it just a clear-eyed way of accepting that to get what you want and to protect yourself, you have to understand the unwritten rules that other people are already playing by? Ultimately, the book leaves you with this one last piercing question. Because whether you choose to play or not, the game is happening all around you. The only real choice you have is this. Are you going to be a player, directing your own moves, or a pawn, moved around by somebody else?